Welcome. I'm Kevin Miller. This is a podcast for your personal evolution. In this episode, how to escape obscurity and effectively share your message. So in the focus I have with this show on our personal evolution, on human potential, personal development, self-improvement, all those concepts, a lot of my audience, like me, has something about their own journey that they want to share with others. And that is where I bring you on the focus of this show. In today's marketplace, it seems the best teachers, trainers, and guides must also become performers. And I don't like that. We call it content creators is the common reference. And if you're not devoting half or more of your time on camera or writing and posting memes and putting out content, you're just often, it feels like, not going to get any traction. And I find many of the best teachers, trainers, and guides are not naturally the performing type, and they don't want to be. And if they try, it may come off as embarrassing. So the gap, I feel, continues to grow between them and the performers who are often grabbing the spotlight, getting the attention, and quite possibly selling an inferior offering. Not always, sometimes. So what do we do? Well, my guest today, and for the focus of this question, this topic, this issue, my guest is an expert in the world of personal branding, Rory Vaden. I've known Rory for, probably a decade or more. He was one of the early guests that I had on the Ziglar show, as he's a big fan of Zig Ziglar. And I've watched him become one of the greatest influencers to the world's greatest influencers. His expertise is in studying the psychology of influence, which he defines as the ability to move ourselves and others to take action. He's become a personal advisor to many of the world's biggest personal development influencers, including Lewis Howes and Ed Mylett, Amy Porterfield, Trent Shelton, Jasmine Star, Eric Thomas, Dr. Caroline Leaf, John Maxwell, and more. He's a really in-demand speaker, best-selling author multiple times over, and he's got a business called Brand Builders Group, and you'll hear us talk about that. And it's grown to be just a powerhouse for personal branding. But you're about to hear what I think is a sobering conversation on this issue, and you'll hear Rory admit that much of the marketing game today that he sees, it disgusts him. Literally uses that word a couple times. And if we do have something of value, I don't think that we need to become something that we're not or do things we don't agree with. But he does say, look, if you do care about something, you may need to play the game, or you're going to a degree. Now, you don't need to go out and do things that you think are disgusting, but that was pretty convicting for me to hear. It may be that I need to do some stuff that I don't enjoy so much, I'm not super comfortable with, but if I want to get the message out, I need to participate some. So he's got a new book called Wealthy and Well-Known, Build Your Personal Brand and Turn Your Reputation into Revenue. So we talk through some of my frustrations, candidly. We talk about options and solutions. And in the last quarter of the show, so 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that, we really dig into something that is worth forwarding all the way there, if you don't listen to anything else, just on the necessity to be known, to become known for one thing. It sounds really elementary. I find that very, very, very few people, including me to a degree, are doing this effectively. And he believes also that we are all really powerfully positioned, not only positioned, but very powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. So you can check that. You can get that in the latter part of our discussion. Again, you can get Rory's book, Wealthy and Well-Known, that I just talked about. You can get it totally free. Literally, you can get it totally free, an electronic copy. Go to Free Brand Audiobook, freebrandAudiobook.com/Kevin Miller. And you can get it for free. All right, coming up next, Rory Vaden and I talk about this concept of how to escape obscurity and effectively share our messages. Let's evolve ourselves today. Rory, it is a gift to have you back on here. I don't know, third time, fourth time. I don't know how many times we've done these. And this focus, every show I do at this point is selfish. I don't do a show, don't have a guest unless it's something I'm interested in. This one is literally free counsel. I am here instead of paying you. It's an area that I'm interested in. I frustrate myself in. I'm concerned about. And so this is literally a discovery process. I mean, I have reviewed the book. I align with so much and I still have some, I have some angst. Are you ready for me?
Oh, I love this. Yeah, I'm so honored. And whatever's valuable to you, buddy, let's do it.
It's literally questions and concerns. So I'm going to hit it at face value. This is literally something that, here we go. So I often have on the show, I'll get a book, I'll get contacted by a publisher, by an agency, by a university. I'm getting a lot from those places now because I've gotten integrated. And so here's my hypothetical. That's not hypothetical at all. It happens every month, multiple times. Here's a professor, let's say, okay, Ivy League school. They have been studying and researching something for 20 years. Hands-on. They're teaching it in class. They usually have lived out a personal story of it in their life. That's why they came to the topic. And they're teaching it in class. They often are also then doing counseling on the side, maybe, in a clinic with patients or with clients and whatnot. And now they write a book on their findings. I get the book. What a gift. What a gift. And I go through it and go, it's incredible. I just elevated my life with this knowledge, this insight. And so I have them on the show. I'll cut to the chase. In today's marketplace and culture, I frustrate myself with feeling like this person's message likely is not going to get that much, to your term, reach. They've got the stuff. I'm going to put them in the teacher trainer guide. I mean, they're doing this hands-on. I mean, this is not just hypothetical stuff. They've been living this out. Their chances of getting good reach feel slimmer and slimmer all the time because of the gap that I think is growing between them and what I'm going to put out here, and try not to say is bad, because some of these folks over here and what I'm about to say have great stuff too. Not all of them, but I'm going to call them performers.
Okay.
And this person over here is never going to, I don't think, reach that level of performance. Either they may not have a lot of capability to, or they're just not going to. And I've had so many of them, the next Yale professor, Stanford or Harvard, they say, man, I think it would take X, Y, Z. I don't have the time, or I don't want to. I'm teaching. I'm in class. I got the next semester coming in. I got clients. And I'm looking at that and going, I don't like this. So I'm going to stop there and lob that to you for an initial response.
So just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly, right? Because we're talking about personal brand strategy. We teach mission-driven messengers to become more wealthy and well-known.
Yep.
And if I'm hearing you right, I think what you're saying is there's this part of personal branding today that I don't love, where it's no longer the best idea that wins, but it's the best marketer that wins. And how do I reconcile in my heart, like, some of that juxtaposition? Is that kind of like the essence of what you're talking about?
It is. I read that line also right out of your book and completely resonated, and loved that we're going to be talking about this, because I know you get that. Let me just add one little piece onto it, that my concern is that feel like we're veering not only into marketing. We got to market. We all know that. Build it and they will come. No, they won't. You got to go market it and tell people about it. We know that. But in today's day and age, not only do you have to market it, it feels like you've got to become a star performer, a content provider. You now need to devote half your day to learning how to perform, going out there and performing, instead of, which I see these folks, they're really just devoted to their craft, to their message. And so there's the performer piece that I also, not above marketing, but become a performer. I think a lot of them just aren't going to. And then the feeling that and you attest to this in the book, some of those are getting a lot of reach, a lot of followers by performing, and they may not have the best offerings at the end of the story as well.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying, like what you're bringing up, is something that breaks my heart. Like, I wish we lived in a world where the best idea won. I wish we lived in a world where the most service-centered person won. I wish we lived in a world where the most qualified person got the job. But like, that's not the world that we live in, right?
Sure.
And whether it's good or bad is kind of futile to discuss. What we talk about is going, okay, how can we provide the best strategies and tactics and mindsets and relational opportunities for the people who are mission driven messengers to help them compete in the world and what it is. And so there's a really big part of me that is in, and I'll even use this. I'll say there's parts of this that are disgusting to me. It's disgusting to me that sometimes people will tread on news cycle topics about people dying or horrendous things happening just so they can get more reach and more followers. That bothers me, like personally. But separate of whether or not I like it, right? It doesn't matter that I like it. If it is what it is, and some of those rules of the game, you don't get to define, you show up and these are the rules that are there. And part of how I've rallied myself and AJ, my wife, who's also the co-author and my co-founder at Brand Builders Group, as we've wrestled with this, even ourselves, is we've realized that, there's two parts of your art. And marketing is art. There is the art of creating your art. And then there is the art of letting people know that your art exists. And even though I think the art of creating art is maybe in some ways higher and more altruistic or more, purposeful, what I've realized is if nobody knows your art exists, your art effectively has no impact beyond you. Now, it still might be worth doing because of the impact it has on you. But if I have the cure for cancer and I don't tell anyone that I have it because I'm afraid of rejection, or I'm afraid I'll get sued, or I'm afraid someone will copy me, or I'm tired, or I don't like social media, or I don't want to learn ads, like, that's not the wrong choice to make. Each of us can make our own choice, but it's to go, in today's world, the battle isn't just coming up with great insights and answers. The battle is for attention. The playing field is attention. And I would also say, in some ways, it's easier than ever to come up with great ideas because we have AI and we have access to research available to us, and we can do more of that. The hard work, the hard fight is going, how much do you care about your message? Do you care about it only to the extent that you want it to help people if it is convenient for you to do so? Or do you care so much about your message? Do you care so much about your calling that you're willing to be inconvenienced, that you're willing to confront fear, that you're willing to confront the uncomfortable, the annoying, and having to do things you don't like doing to get the message out there? And whether we like it or not, I would argue, and we sort of advocate in the book, that is how it is. And that is what it takes. And I would say personally, I don't like it. I don't like that we live in that world. But what I do care about is I know there are mission-driven messengers who have spent their life dedicated to their craft. They do care about helping other people. And I would say, if you genuinely care about helping other people, then you also have to care about the necessary modalities and vehicles it is required to get your work into their hands. There are people who care about solving the water crisis in Africa. Half of the battle, more than half of the battle, isn't just raising the money and coming up with the technology. It's the logistics of getting it to Africa, to the people who need it. And you have to be willing to do that. So I don't like it. In many ways, it's heartbreaking. In some cases, it's disgusting. And even in my own life, Kevin, sometimes I really have to question my own motives of like, how much of this is Rory wanting to help other people versus how much of this is Rory wanting to be rich and famous? And, the answer to that stuff, when you get real honest, it makes me think of, there's this Bible verse actually. So whether you're a believer or not, just stick with me on this because this will make sense. But there's this Bible verse. I think it's Colossians 3:23, and it's like, "Do your work unto the Lord and not unto earthly masters." And as a Christian, right, I happen to be a hardcore Bible thumping Jesus freak. Every day you go, how do I know if I'm doing my work for the Lord or if I'm doing my work for earthly masters and earthly initiatives? Because either way, I have to do great work, right? Like if I want to be recognized in the world, if I want to be paid well, if I want to be influential, if I want to make a difference, I have to do great work to a worldly measure. I also, if I am working for the Lord and believing that I have this calling on my life, that the skills and the emotions and the desires of my heart have been placed there by a creator and that I want to be honoring, I also have to do great work. And so the only way I can really know if I'm doing it for the Lord or for the world is if I wake up every single day and I pray, God, please use me for your good, for your purposes, and not my own, and not for the need to satisfy others. And I think whether you're Christian or not, that sort of wrestling, I think, goes on, and that's just an honest part of it. And everyone who's a mission-driven messenger, which is you, clearly was your dad, who I knew very well. It's like that's a wrestle that happens. But so anyways, that's my thought on it.
Thanks. No, seriously, I value and appreciate that perspective. I hear, I'm going to say truth in it. I'm going to lead off with a couple big hits, questions with you in regards to what you just said. Because to one degree, I wrote down, we got to pay to play to some degree, and I'm going to ask you some questions on that.
Yeah.
In regards to your scripture reference, I remind myself, coming back to, I don't remember which verse it was, but where they were trying to kind of trick Jesus into incriminating himself, asking him about paying taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And he, of course, responded with, ultimately, he says, hey, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. The marketplace to me is somewhat Caesar's, not that God is bereft of it, but in that. So if that's the way that the game is being played, we got to enter into some degree. Let me ask you about some of the degrees. Let me hit some high points there that I do see some of these folks. Again, I'm going to call them, let me just say instead of saying teachers, trainers and guys, just teachers, the folks that are really, they know their stuff.
Like teachers versus performers is sort of the context of the conversation.
Perfect. Let's go with that. Yeah. That with those, let's go to social media.
Okay.
Is two thoughts that seem predominant. Is one, I got to go create mounds of content or pay some team to mounds of content, posting a zillion, I'm exaggerating everything, but posting so many things per day across every social media thing that half of them don't have any social media to begin with. And if they do, they only know a couple of them, have no idea what TikTok is, or what's happening on there. So is that feeling like I've got to do all that? I got to create all that. I got to be on camera. I got to be doing all this stuff and creating so much content, one, and, or probably both, pay exorbitant fees because they're hearing things like that. And I do too. I even in as a podcaster, I know some people, the amount of money that's being pumped out really, it knocks out a lot. If everybody had to pay that much, we're just going to really get really small on how many people can actually do it, even if they do care enough to go do that. So give a comment, and then I want to get into some specifics from your book, but give a comment to the perception of how much has to be done across how many platforms and how much money has to be spent in order to do so.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a couple misconceptions that people have. One is, I must be highly active on social media to build a personal brand.
Yeah.
That's a misconception. Personal branding does not equal social media. We define personal branding as the formalization and the multiplication of your reputation. We do sometimes say the digitization of your reputation also is part of that, but I'll give you a great example. There's someone named Cal Newport. Cal Newport is a friend of mine. He's a #1 New York Times bestselling author. He's a professor at Georgetown. He's a researcher. He doesn't have all the social media platforms. He doesn't post on social media. He doesn't have a huge social media team. Now, he does do some things. He hosts a podcast, and he's got I think he's had Twitter X over the years, but he is not the Gary Vaynerchuk model of pumping out 87 posts every day, or the Alex Hormozi model of pumping out 80 posts a day across all of these platforms, hundreds of pieces of content every single week. I would argue that Cal Newport has one of the biggest and most influential personal brands in the world. He's recognized for his thought leadership. He's recognized for, his writing, Slow Productivity, Deep Work were a couple of his books. And he's a true example of this is a world-renowned thought leader who doesn't have millions of followers online. Now, that's rare air to be able to become a world-renowned thought leader with, no sort of huge direct marketing channel.
Yeah. But
not all of us have to become world-renowned to have a great business. You don't need millions of followers to make millions of dollars. It's actually possible to make millions of dollars from a small audience. In fact, one of our members in Brand Builders Group asked this question point blank to me and AJ at one of our, we 4 times a year, our members get together in person. And somebody said, Rory, I don't understand, why does Lewis Howes and Ed Mylett and Amy Porterfield and Trent Shelton and John Maxwell and, Cody Sanchez and these various private clients of yours, why do these people pay you money when all of them have way more followers than you do? And I really appreciated the honesty. I was like, that's actually a great question, because Brand Builders Group, to this day, I have less than 100,000 followers. If you add up, I don't have a single platform with more than 100,000 followers. But we went from 0 to 8 figures in annual revenue in 5 years. We don't even have thousands of customers. We have 900 active clients. But what people don't realize is you don't make money from selling low ticket items to thousands of people. It's much easier to make a lot of money by selling high dollar offers to a few people, right? There's a couple ways to get to $1 million. There's many ways to get to $1 million. One way is to go, okay, if I sell 1,000 people a $1,000 item, that's $1 million. Another way to get there is to go, I only need 50 people. I need 50 people to pay me 20 grand. 50, not 1,000, not 1 million, not tens of millions, 50 people. Most people who are listening to this show probably could double or triple. If you're an entrepreneur of any type, you could probably double or triple your best income year ever with 1 to 2 dozen more of your perfect clients next year. So I think there is this sort of false sense of I have to have millions of followers. I have to create content. No, you don't. You can get very wealthy serving a small audience in a deep way. You also can become massively influential even without, having this online reputation, because it's really about your offline reputation is really, what matters. And I think Cal's a great example of that. So that's one side of this.
Yeah.
The other side of it is, let's talk about social media for a second. So one of the things that's been amazing is that we have had, in many ways, the good fortune of seeing behind the scenes of many of the world's biggest personal brands, particularly in the personal development space, because they are clients of ours. Many of them are not clients that we have advised at all on growing their audiences. We tend to consult the most on monetization strategy, speaking, book launches, anything related to sales and funnels and automation. That tends to be where our real bread and butter is. But we happen to work with a lot of these people, and, we're in the circles of, many of the people I think you're kind of loosely referring to. And there's only there's only really 3 strategies to succeed on social media. There's really only 3. And when I say succeed, I won't even say succeed. I'll say there's only 3 strategies to grow a large social media following. One is volume. It is just massive volume. You are cranking out the stuff and you are simply playing the numbers game of more people seeing you, so more people can share. And as more people share, more people see you. And it's a very low percentage of, a big number. But as that, number grows and grows and grows, it starts to snowball. So volume is number one. We don't play that game because that game is exhausting to me. The second real way to grow on social media is organic strategy. In a word, this is the algorithms. You have to, maybe in a word would be creative, you have to analyze, understand the algorithm, exactly what it rewards, what it does not, how to hold people's attention, what you have to say in the first 3 seconds, what you have to say in the next 10 seconds, what topics you need to choose, how to tell a story, what's going to hold people, what the on-screen text needs to be, what kind of music do you need to use, when does it fade up and out, how often does the screen have to jump cut to something else, all things that we do and we look at and we study. Actually, I should say things that we help clients do and we look at and we study, but very few of which we actually do ourselves. Why? Because I find social media exhausting. It is not the way that I would choose to build my business. It's just not how I spend my free time. And so because of that, we lean into, getting our clients for more relational ways, referrals, speaking, and then podcasts, like this. So, we'll give out the audiobook. We'll give out our new book for free today at some point in full on audio for anybody who wants it. And that's how we meet people is like, we just, try to do that. But that's
hold on. Let me interrupt then. freebrandaudio.com/Kevin Miller. There you go. All right.
There it is. Yeah. So we were going to hook them to stay longer, but there it is. Right. So freebrandaudio.com/Kevin Miller. So, and as you know, Kevin, this is our new book, Wealthy and Well Known, just hit New York Times. It's helping mission-driven messengers to make a bigger impact in the world, make a bigger difference, and also make more income and make more dollars. And the whole book is free. There's no catch. You get it. You get the whole book for life. There's nothing to it. It's just on audio. So go to that URL. So the third way to grow on social media is related to something that you said. So number 1 is volume. Number 2 is algorithm. Number 3 is payment, is paid traffic. And this is actually my favorite way to grow on social media. Now, I know when people first hear that, they're like, wait, why would you love to pay money? And I go, the reason I would love to pay money, there's 2 reasons. One is it saves me from saving the time that I find draining and exhausting of doing the first 2 strategies. And the biggest reason is because there's only one type of traffic that is guaranteed, and that is paid traffic. I can guarantee you 1 million visitors to your website. I can guarantee you. I can get you 1 million people on your email list, Kevin. I can guarantee you I can get 1 million views on your YouTube channel. All you have to do is pay for it. You just have to give me the budget to go out and buy it. And you tell me how many visitors you want and how many views you want, and we can run a calculation that says this is what's going to cost you. Now, what I can tell you is if you want 1 million of anything, it's going to cost a lot. And that's the part where you go, well, I don't have millions of dollars. And by the way, this is a trend that we're seeing. There's a lot of rich people who are moving into this space because they're realizing that the currency of today is more about influence than it is about money. In some cases, right? I still think cash is king, but it's like you can't buy, like the notoriety you get from being a New York Times bestselling author or a top podcast host. So there's value to all this. So there's a lot of people coming into the space that have money and they have sophisticated teams and they know digital marketing. Well, the thing is, it's all advertising as it's always been about money. The movies, the blockbuster movies that get the most tickets sold are not the best movies. Many times they're the most garbage movies. They have the biggest budgets. Many times the best music, the music that sells the most, that is heard the most, is not the best music. It's the music with the biggest budget, right? The house that sells the fastest may not be the nicest house, but it's the one that has the most traffic of people seeing that house. So even though I don't like how it is today, in many ways, it's not different than it's ever been since whenever the dawn of commerce, or at least the dawn of advertising, was invented. Now, for me, I was raised by a single mom. When I was born, we lived in a trailer. We ate cereal out of bags. I wore mismatched donated clothing. Like, I wanted Air Jordans. That was the only thing I wanted. I never had Air Jordans. All I had was Air Jordache, like from Famous Footwear, and that was how we rolled. And so for me, where I go, well, I didn't come into this game having a lot of money. Then for you, if you don't have a lot of money, what you have to realize is, on the one hand, it's sort of discouraging and devastating to hear, in some ways disgusting to hear, that whoever pays the most is going to get the most traffic. And if you don't have a lot of money, you go, well, that's not fair. How am I going to compete? And I would say, well, no, it's actually kind of very fair, because all you have to do is build a machine. You have to build a mechanism that goes, I can spend $1 million on traffic for my brand, for my podcast, or for my church, or for my cause. I can spend money to drive traffic for anything, as long as I build a machine that gets me that $1 million back and then some. And that's the game that we play, is we want to just build a whole infrastructure that is self-liquidating is the term, is going, we're spending money. Now, we're never buying followers. We never teach our clients to buy followers, but we do buy attention, which is what everybody does. They buy billboards. They buy, movie trailers. They buy the side of a McDonald's, Happy Meal. Like, everything in the world of business, other than organic, which we talked about, is paid for. And that's actually really, even though it's a big mountain to climb, it should be encouraging, because it's predictable. I can't predict that you can have a video go viral, but I can guarantee you I can get a video with 1 million views. One requires the perfect construction of the algorithm that hits culturally at the right moment, in the right time, with the right number of people who share it, and it just gets picked up into this tidal wave and pushed out. Nobody can guarantee that. There's things you can do to play the odds, but I can guarantee you I can get 1 million followers. You're just, 1 million views, just paying for it. But now we have to come up with a mechanism to get that money back. And so that's a lot of what our monetization strategy is about, is going, I'm paying money. By the way, this is advanced. Most of the people we start with don't have any ad spend at all. And we got to 8 figures without spending any money on ad spend, right? So there's other ways to do it. But to your point about social media, and here's the thing. When you look at people on social media who have bigger followers, like more followers than you, there is sometimes, at least again, I'll speak for me personally. Sometimes there's a bit of like contempt or judgment, or ego, or just like hurt of like, why does that person have so many followers? And how come nobody's paying attention to me? And I would say one reason, and one reason alone: money. It's money. I happen to think Alex Hormozi is very, very smart. I think he's brilliant. I've learned a lot from Alex. I follow Alex. And he also spent $4 million on ads in a year. He said that. So you go, yeah, he's smart. Is he the world's smartest guy? No, he's very smart, but he also spent $4 million on ads. So let me ask you, what if you spent $4 million on ads? Do you think you would have more email subscribers? Do you think you'd have more followers? Do you think you'd have more podcast downloads? The answer is, of course. Again, you might not like that, but the good news is it's predictable. It's a mathematical formula, and all we have to do is build a machine to be able to get our money back, and then we make money from the second and third sale. And the byproduct is I have a mechanism that's built in, a lever that I can pull to change the world. And even if it's like, even if I make $0 in profit, I can get my message, my product, my cause, my calling out to the world. And again, because it's just like these social media platforms control all the attention, and you can just buy a chunk of it. You just put money in the machine like a vending machine. It's like, I would like this much attention, and they will tell you it costs this much. And then it's a matter of what do you do with that attention and get your money back.
Let me address the content on social media, the thing that you are putting out there. So even if you are paying for somebody to look at your social media channel or a specific video or whatnot, and I'll use Alex Hormozi, who I don't know, but I know of. And I would say what I have seen seems like a really smart guy. Seems like he's got value to offer to people. Also, I would put him in a category of also, he kind of like the triple threat aspect of it, also a good performer. Handsome dude, all jacked. His wife is an attractive woman as well as incredibly smart from what I gather. Yep. That helps. And let's juxtapose that to the teacher who's been over in a classroom, isn't jacked, isn't a performer. For them to look at it, because I also care, and you know this as well as I do, maybe more so, that we can do a lot of work, spend a lot of money to drive people to content that doesn't engage them, that doesn't connect with them. Even if we can pay to get a lot of views, a lot of people viewed it, but it was pretty not compelling, could be even embarrassing to that standpoint. What are the opportunities for content? Now, granted, if anybody cares enough, should they go to Toastmasters? Should they buy a new outfit? Should they get their hair done? Should they do some things to help that and help their presentation? Of course. I think we would say of course there. But I'm going to err on the side of the person who's performing is not their highest ability. What are the options for content that will hopefully connect with people and provide value if they spend the money to drive them to it?
Yeah. Well, I would say when you come to a content strategy, okay, we teach something called the 3 E's. Your content, it actually doesn't have anything to do with you. And it's like, there's all sorts of arguments of going, we've got lots of examples of people who didn't have pretty hair and didn't have pretty outfits and their content performs great, because it actually doesn't have that much to do with you. It has to do with the content itself. And good content is one of these 3 things. It's either, so these are the 3 E's. First of all, it's entertaining. It's entertaining, meaning it moves people emotionally, it holds their attention, it's storytelling. This is like all the stuff like the funny cat videos and the memes and the pranks and the, unexpected things. Like it's entertaining. The second is it's educational. And this is where we live, right? Is we go, all right, we live in the universe of we're teaching, and we're going like, how useful is it, right? And that's what most people need to do is focus on making your content so useful that people have to pay attention to it. Make it so valuable that they have to listen. We have a mantra where we say, save the best for first. So you go, what should I teach next? Teach the best thing you know and teach that next. Save the best for first. You don't have to be afraid of giving away your best stuff. You have to be afraid of, you have to be afraid of people not getting enough value and then they never pay attention to you, right? So sometimes we try to hold back like the good stuff. It's like, no, push the good stuff forward. That's what keeps people coming back. And like, that's the whole thing. So you've got, entertaining, you've got, educational, and then you have like, emotional. You've got like, motivational, right? You've got that we sometimes will say encouraging. And this is where you have pastors and, Bible verses and quotes and, little life lessons that are just encouraging people, and you're inspiring them and you're uplifting them. And you go, it doesn't really matter who you are. It matters, is your content entertaining, educational, or encouraging? And if it's in some combination of those three, if it's not any of those three things, nobody's paying attention. They're not. Well, the good news is the strategy for how most of this works, Kevin, is nobody knows what content is going to perform well, really. We're starting to get to the point with AI and being able to analyze patterns. We can pretty well predict if something is going to do well or not, but we never know exactly how well. So the way that we teach clients to do this and the way that we think about it is basically all of your organic posting is just a test. It's other than having some high level strategy, okay, am I an entertainer? Am I an encourager? Or am I an educator? One of those things. And most of us, you're using the term teacher, and this is the world we live in, right? I'm not that funny. I'm not that inspiring, but I am a decent teacher. And so if you go to my feed, I am just teaching knowledge bombs left and right. I mean, I've had people tell me, Rory, literally your Instagram feed and definitely my blog, they're is more valuable than a business degree. And that's because I am constantly just trying to save the best for first, and share, because that's how you build trust. And trust must take place before there's a transaction. It's another one of our mantras. So I'm trying to automate trust at scale. And I'm doing that by giving as much value as fast as I can. Even in this interview, I'm trying to go how do I get as much value crammed in to the shortest amount of time possible as I'm articulating it, to go, if people experience a high value per minute with me or a high value per second, then the trust accelerates. And once there's trust, there's an opportunity for a transaction to work with them. But anyways, coming back to this, all you do is post, and then you see what performs well, and then you put money behind that post, Kevin. So you post 10 things, and you don't have to guess. You post 10 things, and don't take your budget. Even if your budget's $100 a month, don't spread it across 10 posts. Post 10 things, see which one performs, and then put all $100 behind that one thing and force it. You force it forward. You force it out. And you already know it's effective. The organic data has already proven to you that it's effective. So it's, I save the best for first, and then I put money behind the best performing. And so when people see it, it's I don't have to guess, and there's these creative agencies in New York and stuff where it's they drop $1 million on a commercial. They don't even know if anyone's going to like it. All we do is post a bunch of stuff organically and then put money behind the thing that is proven to work. Very simple.
Okay. Let me address that. And hey, thanks again. For hitting these things head on. Let me do another one, and I'll pick on myself. We do not have a YouTube strategy at all.
Yeah.
I do a podcast. We happen to record it. So we're recording the audio right now, and we throw it up on YouTube. I have a team that does it. I have never really paid attention to it. I've not invested in it. I've not done it. So a video goes up. I may go look at it after a while and go, 100 people watched it. Mm-hmm. And then there's one, we have one with James Doty on manifesting, and 18,000 people, views on the thing.
Amazing.
Don't know why. No idea. So to take your example there, we go, okay. So apparently people like that one. Let's put some, and we'll have people do, we'll have a video, 100 people, 150 people, 3,000, 100 people, 50 people, 10,000, and then we got 8. So there's the ones obviously we could put some money behind. However, back to what you said earlier, do we have a machine together to monetize it? No. If I go look at that video right now on YouTube, go to youtube.com. Everybody could do this. If you want to go play with it and see how this is not working. kevinmiller.co on YouTube. James Doty's video. Does it say, I assume it says the name of the show. Is there any link given? Is there any call to action? No, nothing. So if I went and said, okay, let's put $5,000 behind see how much you can go do it. And you go out there and promote it, and it gets 100,000 views. That's cool. chances are I would see very little. I'm guessing, you tell me, but my chances are we would see very little from that. I wouldn't get that investment back because I don't have a machine there set up. So there's my caution. Anybody who says, oh, hey, I've got the TikTok video and mine, I got one that got 50,000. I'm going to go put money behind it. I think you would say, whoa, Nelly, what's the machine you have set up to get something?
Yeah, there's two things. One, there's got to be a call to action so that you can measure the performance and capture those leads. And so you go, like in your case, I would go, don't put money behind that actual video if there's no way to capture. So one is you could optimize the thumbnail, you can optimize the description. There's things you could add to it so that you could keep all the views and the engagement. But this happens a bunch. I'll post something on Instagram, it takes off, and there was never any call to action built into it because I didn't think it would take off. I was just kind of like off the cuff, like, here's a thought I had today while I'm driving in my car. And then I go, oh, dang it. No problem. Just download that video, use the same video and repost it, but this time build the call to action into it. So I already know that content performs. I can recreate that same post, just optimize for conversion, and then I'll put money behind that one. So that would be the first thing. But the bigger thing, the higher level thing, to your point, Kevin, is to go, I can't just spend money without having a way to get it back. I have to have some machine. And so that's what, when I said earlier, we consult with people on monetization strategy. That's one of the biggest things. And I'll tell you the big myth with monetization strategy that is causing everyone to fail. Maybe not you, but like most people, here's what's killing them. They all believe in this ridiculous lie that is so widespread, it's unbelievable. And they believe in multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income is the biggest, most ridiculous, insane lie on the internet. Nobody who got rich from multiple streams of income. Everybody who ever got rich from doing one thing really, really well. And then after they were rich, they diversified into multiple things. But like Mark Zuckerberg got rich from Facebook. Elon Musk got rich from PayPal. Jeff Bezos got rich from Amazon. Sarah Blakely got rich from Spanx. Jamie Kern-Lima got rich from It Cosmetics. Like Alex Rodriguez got rich from baseball. Jennifer Lopez was a dancer. Jerry Seinfeld was a comedian. Wolfgang Puck was a chef. Like there is not an example of like people who got rich from all these different things. They got rich from being world class at one thing. So the part of the thing that's killing small businesses is they're like, every time you scroll on social, somebody new is out there going, hey, you can get rich doing Airbnb. You can fix and flip homes. You can do stock. You can do drop shipping on Amazon. You can launch a course, become an author, do a mastermind, do consulting classes, do a certification, do an assessment, like publish a book, like, and it's crazy. And you go, no, you need to pick one vehicle that you have natural momentum with, that you have natural passion around, that the market has proven they're willing to pay for. And some of that is similar to the social media thing. You can experiment with some different things and see what gets natural momentum. And then you go all in on that thing. And that's how you grow. But you can't just, unless you're independently rich and you have like a monster trust fund, you can't just go spend money on ads without a strategy to get it back. And the whole game is measuring, okay, how much do I spend on ads? Then how many clicks is that going to result in, which is going to be how many visitors to a page? What percentage of the people are going to opt in on that page? What percentage of people who opt in are going to consume the free training or read the free thing? What percentage of those are going to request a free call? What percentage of those are going to buy? What percentage of those are going to stay? What percentage of those are going to renew? What percentage of those are going to refer? That is an MBA in 60 seconds, which actually they don't even teach you that in MBA school. But that's what entrepreneurs go. You measure that entire cycle analytically, empirically, and then you figure out how much can I afford to pay for a click? And then I just have to pay more for that click. And the good news is, you know, whoever can afford to pay the most for the click is always going to get the click. Well, the person who can afford to pay the most for the click is either rich or they're the one with the most sophisticated system. And the future of marketing does not belong to the people with the best content. It belongs to the people with the most sophisticated system, because that's how all commerce platforms ultimately go to. Whoever can pay the most gets the Super Bowl commercial, right? So Coca-Cola and Ford get the Super Bowl commercials because they're the ones who can afford to pay the most for that real estate. I got to build a better mousetrap, or build a mousetrap for myself, a machine to get that money back. And you start small, and then you ratchet your way up.
All right, I'm going to anchor us here with something that, to me, I'm tempted to feel like it's tempting to say is the most important thing, or the thing that stands out to me that I also struggle with. You at Brand Builders, your big focus, well, here's the tagline of your book, Wealthy and Well-Known: build your personal brand and turn your reputation into revenue. Okay. Reputation, as you define it. And I appreciate definitions, because people define things and attach different meanings to things. And you say what people think about when they think of you. If I take a list, Rory, of my not so famous people that I know who are good coaches, they're good teachers, they are good guides, they've got a lot to offer, and yet vast majority of them don't have one thing that they are known for, including me. So I'm also selfishly having you on here because I'm reviewing the book and talking with you, because I'm about to wrap myself around a specific focus, really for the first time. Most of the people who are listening probably started listening to me back with The Ziglar Show. I was host of The Ziglar Show and talked about personal development. Now, I do get a thread of personal development, obviously.
Sure.
But it was that. And then we rebranded to Self-Helpful. And then it was what drives you, because I had my book, and I have my book, and that was a focus. And then realized, gosh, but I'm not all encompassed. Today, we're the Kevin Miller Show. I'm a podcast host. I do podcasting. It's self-help. But what do you go to me for? You don't really know. And I'm aware of that. As is the case for many, many, many of the people that I know that are, I mean, even if I just say coaches and leaders out there, I don't know a lot. I'm not referring people to them, because I don't have one specific thing that they're known for, as opposed to if I have somebody who is interested in, emotional intelligence, I have somebody for that. A lot of the authors that I get, thank goodness, a lot of these, especially these coming from the Ivy League schools, and they've been studying emotional intelligence. They've been studying intuition. They've been studying anxiety. They've been studying positivity. They've been studying some issue, and they come out of the gate and they've got that one thing, and they become the source for that. Arthur Brooks, happiness. I mean, he's kind of the godfather of how he's owned that. We know that with Brene Brown, and shame was where she initially made her big hit. You referenced that in your book, Dave Ramsey, and it wasn't even just money. It was specifically debt. He is the guy. He owns it. Now he can diversify and talk about anything, and anybody will listen to anything he has to say. But that has been, I think, the bane of a lot of people who have something good to offer, is deciding to wrap themselves around so that, and it's really cute to me, because if you're going to be on my show, it's got to be something specific. If it's just a broad thing, hey, I just followed a lot of great principles, I did what most people don't, made $1 billion. Dude, that's awesome. I don't have a specific to fall on, though, and they don't end up on the show. So I want to anchor with that, because I burden myself with a lot of people who have a lot to offer, but they haven't figured out that reputation piece to where they are known for something specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is the issue. And there you are saying both sides of the same coin, even for yourself. Like, you're trying to go as a creator, what am I known for? But then as a podcast host, when people are pitching you, you're going, I can't have you on unless you're that world's expert on something. And it's so clear the value you're going to add to my audience. And so that is, by the way, so, we already mentioned freebrandAudiobook.com/Kevin Miller. This question that you're asking right now is the question that the book systematically walks you through. So we help people create what we call a brand positioning statement, where they get clear on 4 things. And that is, what problem do you solve in 1 word? Who do you solve that problem for in 1 phrase? how do you solve that problem for them in one sentence? And what one revenue stream matters above all others. And that is, it's based on, we have 14 different 2-day experiences at Brand Builders Group. Like that's what we do is from a practical perspective is we've got 14 different experiences. Our first experience is all about finding your uniqueness and finding your brand DNA. That's what this book is. And again, it's free for everybody on audio. They can listen to it. But the genesis to your question, like where you go, how do I find my uniqueness? And that was the best piece of personal branding advice I'd ever received was from a gentleman named Larry Winget. And he said, the goal is to find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. But he never taught people how to find it. So
wait, can I steal your thunder? Can I steal it?
Go for it. Go for it.
The last time we were on together, Rory, I don't even remember what the focus was. You said it on the show. It must have been a year ago or so at least. And it stuck with me, but I didn't embrace it until recently. So here's my quick story. You said, and you have it in the book, page 67, and as a shortcut, you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. So you said that. It stuck with me, and it came to fruition in the past year or so of my life. And that's where my rebranding is going. Because to this point, I've been calling people and then motivating them to personal development and self-growth because I've gotten so much value out. That's the world I grew up on. You know, my dad, I grew up in that stuff. It was given to me on a silver platter. And so I wanted people to experience that, kind of pulling them to motivating them to the person that I was so privileged to be. Now I've had my own story, my own dark night of the soul in essence, and had my own realization and found a solution that's dear to me, I think is revolutionary. I want to give it to people more than I wanted to give them anything else in my life. I am now, for the first time, going to reposition myself in a big way to serve the person that I once was, have been, and still growing out of to that degree. So I just wanted the testimony and to say again, for the third time, thanks.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's the epiphany that we stumbled onto. And I say stumbled onto because we didn't like sit in a room and think that up. We didn't even know that insight when we started the company. But after we had taken about 2,000 people through the process and we were training other strategists to do it, we identified this pattern that for all of us, you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were.
Yeah.
And it has been so profound and illuminating and clarifying that your credibility doesn't come from your credentials. It doesn't come from, how many hours you've spent studying something. It doesn't come from your endorsements. It doesn't come from your publications. It doesn't come from your social media following. Your credibility comes most from the path that you have walked in your life. And so you ask yourself, what challenges have I conquered? What obstacles have I overcome? What setbacks have I survived? What tragedies have I triumphed over?
Yeah.
And therein lies your uniqueness. Therein lies your greatest opportunity, your most ripe area of study to reach back and help other people who are going through that. And we believe, again, that that's God's divine design of you as a person, that the reason you've gone through the difficult things in your life was because it was a part of shaping you and making you and molding you into the person you needed to become so that one day you could reach back and help other people who are on that journey.
Yeah.
And that transcends money. That transcends fame. That is about impact. It's about service. And, ultimately our book is a big giant bait and switch, which we don't really try to hide. When we say wealthy and well-known, everyone thinks that's like, oh, we want to be rich and famous. Well, here's what we discovered. True wealth is just an abundance of peace. It's having the peace of feeling like my life matters. I'm protected. I'm provided for. It's important to some, I'm important to somebody, and that comes from service. And being truly well known, honestly, is going, having some people look at you and go, I just want to know you for who you are. And again, in our world is going, you have a God that created you, that knew you before you were born, that created and constructed you in this life path in exactly the way it needed to happen for you to become who you are right now, which means that you've got the opportunity to help other people. And even if you don't believe in God, right? Like, I do think Jesus boils it all down when like one of these teachers comes to him and they say like, there's whatever it is, I think 617 laws in the Old Testament, like Mosaic law. And this teacher says, Jesus, like, which one's the most important? And he says, love God and love others. And so even if you don't believe in the God part, I think many of us can agree that there's no higher pursuit than loving others. There's no higher pursuit than like impacting others. And this personal brand journey, yeah, there's some slimy parts of the space. There's some disgusting parts of the space, but it's also the most beautiful thing ever to be able to walk out your purpose, to answer your calling, to live into the divine design of your identity and your humanity and make a living doing that is extraordinary. And so that's why we dedicate ourselves, to this work, is going, yeah, we're on the side of the underdog. We're on the side of the mission-driven messenger who cares more about impact than they do about income, who cares more about reputation than they do about revenue, and who cares, more about making a difference than they do about making a dollar. And so we're fine to serve. We want to serve that person and help them kind of compete and play and bring more notice to what they're doing. That's just that's the calling that God put on our life.
And I believe that's the mic drop. So folks, free brand audiobook.com/Kevin Miller. If you are watching on YouTube, there's the book and you can get it for free electronically at that link. Rory, fourth time. Thank you. As a gift to me, I will be using your insight, wisdom, and guidance for my new brand to become wealthy and well-known. Thanks, brother.
I love it, brother. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us in this discussion that, again, is Rory Vaden. And the book that we walked through some is Wealthy and Well Known. Build your personal brand and turn your reputation into revenue. And you can get the book totally free. Go to freebrandaudiobook.com/Kevin Miller. Till next time, here's to the evolving you.
Yeah.